tuned in, welcome to the late afternoon, evening coverage of these European Championships. It is day 8 and we've just been watching a fantastic 1 metre springboard men's final. Tonia Couch alongside me here, and we're going to look back at some of Jack Law's best dives that got him that gold. But first of all, let's just put this into context. This is not an Olympic event, so a lot of these divers use the 1 metre to kind of get themselves warmed up for the 3 metre and the synchro, and that's exactly the way to do it, isn't it? The way Jack did it today.
That's it. He's going to go into 3 metre feeling really pumped. He looked really calm today, which is a little bit different, obviously, to the Commonwealth Games because the pressure must have been on him so much. But yeah, looked really calm, and it's just a build-up ready for his 3 metre.
Let's have a look at his second dive, because that was the dive that took him into the lead. This one here is a reverse 1.5 somersault with 2.5 twists.
That's it. He gets a really, really good hurdle step to the end of the board, so straight away we knew he was going to do a fabulous dive because the height he gets, he's so strong. And, of course, he's absolutely beautiful to watch. Look how neat he is. But the spins, yes, it's in slow motion, but even in slow motion, it looks super fast.
It does, because the quality of the diving, you know, when they're all diving well there, you know, those little points that you just mentioned there, you know, the fact that his feet were together, the speed of his twist, they're the things that are giving the judges the ability to give them a little bit more and get them towards the 8s.
That's it. For the divers that lose their legs in the middle of the twist but get a really, really good entry, they do lose a little bit of mark. So the fact he got a good entry and was really, really tight got him right up there.
Let's have a little look at his final dive. His fourth dive was actually really brilliant and was one of the hardest, but this was a 3.2, a front 3.5 somersault, and it was coming down, wasn't it, to that final dive. At one point, it was looking a little bit dicey, but he knew he had this.
Yeah, this is probably one of his easiest dives. He can do this one pretty simple, but the pressure is on for the last dive, and he did lift his chest up a little bit on the entry, so he was a tiny little bit short, but he had such a lead going into this round. We knew he was going to go home with that gold medal.
And so, because this isn't in the Olympic programme, the 1 metre, you know, you think perhaps that this is an event that you might put a more inexperienced or a diver without as much experience into to give them experience. But obviously that's not the way British diving look at it, and they do value these experiences in the Europeans.
Yeah, just because it's not in the Olympic sport doesn't mean that this is still important to these guys, and going home on 1 metre with a gold medal is just a huge achievement. So yeah, I think they all love to do it because it's great fun.
And we're going to see him, obviously, and we know he's Commonwealth champion on the 1 metre as well, because that was in the Commonwealth. What's the difference, apart from the height, you know, in terms of the execution? Obviously, you can get more into your dives. What's the difference? Would they be applying the same technique?
Yeah, a little bit. Obviously, like you said, it is higher, so they can fit an extra somersault in, but it's harder to control because obviously you're higher up. But it's exactly the same. You're still using the springboard. It's just a really, really good warm-up on the 1 metre for these guys, and I think that's exactly why these guys are doing that as well as 3 metre.
And it's fair to say, isn't it, that the Italian crowd are very much helping their divers, and the scores are kind of eking up a little bit because of that?
I think the judges are taking a little bit of note from the crowd when they're cheering, I must admit, but it's fine. Jack was still up there.
Excellent. Good stuff. Thank you so much, Tonia. Lovely to see you, as always, and we will see you tomorrow for the men's 10 metre synchro. But for now, you can rest easy and enjoy the rest of your day. And now, let's take a chance to remind you of all the top stories from today so far.
Oh, Tonia Couch alongside me. Tonia, a 3-time Olympian. You know about fine margins. 0.3 that Deshawn and Amy there just losing out on a place on the podium. Oh. Gutting, isn't it? But at the same time, so much they can take away from this, and we can kind of go through their dives now. But how do you think they're going to be feeling right now?
4th place is a tough place to finish. And, you know, as we were saying behind the cameras, that they dived so consistent. I thought they were very, very consistent, more so than the Italians that beat them. So, you know, it's hard when you're in a sport that gets judged on, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely so. But there were a few really good rounds from the British girls. Let's look at the 4th round, for example. They were able to execute this dive to the best of their ability. They did all they could do to make sure they stayed in contention here, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, and they had a really good takeoff, which is hard when you've got a little bit of jelly legs. But they both got their hips up at the same time. Their entry was exactly the same. Deshawn a little bit over, so she buried her head at the end, but hardly noticeable, and that was probably their best dive from them guys.
And we just watched Amy's entry here into the water as well. We did hear Leon talk about it was a tiny bit short also. So these are the fine margins, aren't they, that that really cost you to get onto the podium.
It does, and they were a little bit lower on the first two synchro dives, so that might have cost them a medal today.
And in terms of the fifth dive as well, okay, this is the crunch dive, isn't it? And the nerves at this point to try and make this work must be through the roof.
Absolutely. The pike shape was super, super tight. They came out at the same time, a little bit whippy on the end, but I think they got marked down just a little here. So, yeah, it was really hard to watch from back at home here.
A fourth place finish at the Europeans, a fourth place at the Commonwealths. They have to be so encouraged to know that actually they're working together, still very young and new in their partnership moving forward.
Yeah, they've still got so much more to give. Fourth place is still amazing. Of course, they wanted a medal today, but fourth is still fantastic to take away such a young age and a new partnership. So I can't wait to see what the future holds for them.
And just very quickly, they were the first to dive. How much does that affect them, knowing that they have to set the bar and raise the bar?
It's super nerve-wracking. They must have been shaky the whole time. Yeah, going first is horrible, but also going last is never nice. So...
Going anything off of the springboard, I'm sure, is pretty tough. And the Germans, they did really, really well, of course. And we said at the top that they were the ones to watch. Tina Punzel now adding again to a fantastic medal collection. And sixth European title for someone like Tina. She's so experienced, and we saw it here today, didn't we?
She did. And I think that's a new synchro partner she's got there. And I'm guessing from behind the scenes, she's definitely helped her because her synchro partner was just as consistent as she was. So super, super amazing.
And their third round jump, you can see that she's the driver. She is the person that's going out there and making sure that they are on point, the execution is on point, and this is what got them the medals today.
Yeah, but it's so elegant to watch, so beautiful.
And the Italians, a few game-changing dives for them. Their fourth round was one we thought, oh, OK, this is now a bit of a game-changer here. They're in their home pool as well. And we speak about how much that actually helps as well, don't we?
Yes, I think the crowd cheered them on a little bit too much, and the judges took off the bit of the crowd there. I thought they got a really good first 3 rounds, weren't they? And then they did mess up a couple of times near the end, costing them nearly a medal, but luckily enough, they managed to slip just in there, just in time.
And we can look here at this 5th round dive.
Look how high they get.
This is still the 3rd round. Bit of a game changer here. You can see it here.
The synchro is spot on.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Like you say, judges don't get the replays. They have to see it for what it is. And to the naked eye, that looks sensational. You start to pick out a few things. But here is round 5.
This is when things got a little bit different. She kicked out and she lifted her feet a little bit too high, so then she whipped over on the end. She needed to come out and place her feet a little bit further away. But we thought at this point maybe our girls could have took the medal, but they were very lucky to get their medal
today. And I must admit, it's quite telling in the Italian coach's face there, but he wasn't quite sure. And that's a nerve-wracking moment, isn't it? Whilst you're waiting for those scores to come in, especially, you know, a crunch time like this.
Yeah, very nerve-wracking. You could see on the coach's face there, he thought they were out. So I think they were probably surprised that they weren't out and they did get a medal today. OK, well, brilliant stuff. You're hanging around for sure for a moment still. And we're going to... going back to show you some more table tennis now. Second semi-final in the women's doubles. GB diving superstar Jack Law will be going in his 1-metre springboard final in about 10 minutes. If you've been with us all afternoon, you would have seen Deshami, as I've named them, as in Deshaun Ben Ashmiel and Amy Rollinson. They finished 4th in the 3-metre springboard synchro, and after they caught up with Cat Downs.
Amy, just seen you guys giving the Swedish team an enormous hug, a brilliant achievement for them, but the finest of margins, just 3/10 in it to knock you guys out of the medal spots.
Yeah, no, we've been quite close with the Swedish girls because we sort of have met them at junior competitions and like a junior elites this year. There was one of the girls was there, so it's just nice to see them again and obviously getting to get beaten by them, but it's nice to see them, so yeah.
Do you feel like your time will come, given the potential that you've shown both at the Commonwealth Games and now here, 2 4th-place finishes, Deshaun?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've got so much more that we can give, and at the end of the day, this is one of our first big senior competitions, so just getting used to it, and this being our first time being outside, or my first time being outside, it's a big change, and I've got to learn to like get used to it, and then eventually I'll get it.
It's been a big couple of weeks, hasn't it? You said at the Commonwealth Games you're a bit like a rabbit in the headlights for the first dive with the sound, the decibel level of that crowd. And then here diving outside, I mean, you've taken on a lot of new learning experiences.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like all of this I can take away and build up on my career with it. So, yeah.
I'm sure you've got plenty more to come, Deshawn and Amy, you know, the bronze medal at the Commonwealth Games, now coming here for a 4th place finish. And as you say, you know, you've been up in junior elites with those Swedes and now perhaps a rivalry for years to come in the 3 metre.
Yeah, no, it's just going to be nice next season when we're back, we're fully fit, ready to just come back stronger next year.
Everyone seems a little tired. How are you feeling?
I'm very tired. It's just been constant on going, so it's just going to be nice to be able to relax, rest, and get myself back being fit again.
Well, best of luck with it. Not too much pizza.
No, not. No.
Well done. Thank you, guys.
Well, I mean, I think she deserves all the pizza. And also, I know how she feels. It's exhausting. It has been a really, really long season, but they're going to take so much from this season, Tonia. They're going to think about those 4th place finishes and think, right, how can we push on from here and know that every single competition now, the aim is for the podium?
Yeah, I think sometimes coming 4th is disheartening, but it definitely gives you some oomph to get home and, you know, train more synchro together. But they're so young.
Yeah.
They've got so much more to achieve.
And they can look to Jack Law, of course, somebody in the team, super experienced. The medals keep on racking up and racking up. He had a sensational Commonwealth Games, comes off the back of this now into the Europeans, and he's here to really stake his claim.
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone's going to be watching Jack later, including the guys that are competing against him. I think Jack's actually one of the most successful divers we've ever had.
Yeah.
Pressure's on.
Yeah, pressure's on. And you take a look at Jack's record in terms of the bronze medals from the Olympic Games, the silver medals at Worlds, the golds at European level. This is somebody who is super experienced. It's going to have to be, because we're here now at this particular venue. And the weather, everyone's been speaking about it. He's going to have to pull out some really good dives in a different set of conditions.
Of course, yeah. And I don't doubt that he will. You know, he's going to smash it. He's coming 2nd for the prelim, which is nice because he puts the pressure onto the person that's following him behind.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that guy's not going to be enjoying it too much.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, he's going to absolutely do fantastic. I'm so proud of him, basically. I'm so excited to see him compete.
And when we think about Jack in this position, he is somebody that's going to have to come in here. Everybody around him knows about his ability. How much do they watch him? How much is he a target? And how much would that then affect his dives to make sure that he nails the execution in terms of the difficulty as well?
Yeah,
She was only 5th after the first dive, but moved her way up into 2nd, was 2nd all the way along until it came to those final dives. And Tonia Couch sitting alongside me said, don't worry, she's got this. Mainly because her last dive was her most difficult, but also because you were completely confident that she would nail it.
Absolutely. I know full well going into that last dive, she felt comfortable because she knew she could do it. And I said to you, I said, don't worry, she's got this, she's got this. And she did, and she just took over that Ukrainian diver.
Well, let's talk about Sofia Liskin, because she was the 2019 European champion, and she moved herself into a very strong position with a 2nd dive that had a very high difficulty rating, 3.3, actually more difficult than any of the dives that Andrea Spendolini-Syriacs had. I'm loving the panda.
Oh, it's
swimming
gorgeous.
costume, by the way.
Yeah, not many girls do this dive because, you know, back 3.5 is really, really difficult, but she punches out at the entry and she gets her arms back and she's able to do a really, really good dive at the end there. And it's a brave dive to do as a woman.
Why is it so difficult?
Well, you take off, you've got to get a real high jump, and then you've got to spin as fast as you can in such a tiny little tuck shape and know where you are in the air. It's a tough, tough dive.
That put her into the lead by a wide margin. And it really, I find it so interesting where they put their more difficult dives, who's comfortable doing them early, who wants to leave them till later, where you might slip in an easier one.
I think it's best to always do your hard ones right in the middle because you can start off doing well, it gives you the confidence for the rest of the competition, and you can finish off feeling comfortable. So it's nice to get it done in the middle there, and that's exactly what she did.
Andrea put one of her more difficult dives in as her 2nd dive, a forward 3.5 somersaults in tuck. And how did you feel this went for her?
Well, her first dive was a little bit shaky, so she went in here knowing that she could do really well here, and that's exactly what she did. And being outdoors, it was really hard to spot that entry, and she nailed it. Great takeoff, jumped as high as she could, and in that tiny little tuck shape, look how squeezed her knees are into her chest, and she punched out for the water.
And with the inward dives, I'm always so worried about them hitting something on the platform.
She's quite far away from the board there, so which is great to be safe. I'd rather it be a little bit further away than close. So she doesn't need to worry about her head hitting the board there.
If we look at her arm stand, which was the third dive that she put in, you were slightly concerned on this at how far away from the edge of the board her hands were.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to put my hands any further because otherwise when she punches off at the beginning, she can be quite close to the board. So her hands, for me, I'd like them a little bit closer to the end. But we did see a little bit of a big push at the end, and it's nothing to worry about. She used her arms to take off and basically tucked her head in at the end and went a tiny little bit over. But the strength you need in that handstand is crazy.
And are the wristbands there for protection or,
Yes.
rather than because there's an injury or a weakness?
Protection. The amount of dives we do on 10 metre, you can get bad wrists and triceps, and that's there to protect your wrists.
3 rounds of dives complete, and the current standings on the scoreboard for you now.
Always difficult to go last because you kind of know it's all on you. You know what you need to do. And as she stepped up there for her final dive, again, a very difficult one, difficulty rating of 3.2, she knew if I nail this, the gold medal is mine. There was just a tiny weeny opening from the Ukrainian diver, from Lishkin, because she'd put in an easier dive towards the end.
That's it. I mean, going last for anyone is probably the worst place to be because you can see everyone else doing well in front of you. And today, there's a few divers that didn't do so well, so the pressure was off for her and the Ukrainian diver today. But yeah, she knew she could put that one in and just take the Ukrainian.
We'll have another look at it. Back 2.5 somersaults, 1.5 twists in pike. Called it as soon as she entered the water, said, that's it, that will be enough. You called it. The rest of us are all going, can we just wait for the score? And that's a nervy moment, but the judges absolutely agreeing that she was the standout performer and she's the European champion. But what a way to do it, so tense.
I know, like she saved it to the end, you know, she was right up there. But if you know you're going to take the last dive and absolutely nail it, why not leave it to last? Make everyone scared, shaking their boots, and that's exactly what she did.
What I also enjoy about watching her is that she looks to enjoy it so much. You don't see tension. She gets on with it. She celebrates when there is a reason to celebrate, and a gold medal obviously is the ultimate reason to celebrate. But frankly, winning a medal against a very strong, particularly a strong Ukrainian opponent, the rest of the field might not be as strong as usual because no Russians. But that is a great achievement.
Oh, of course it is. Of course it is. And like you said, she's so calm, and I think she just takes it all in and enjoys it. And if you have fun in sport, you'll do well in it.
Exactly right. Stay relaxed, enjoy the moment. Tonia, thank you so much. I know you'll be back tomorrow, lots more diving to come, but for now, thank you. And it has been a busy day so far. If you're just joining us.
Oh, so good to watch that again. And watching with me yesterday was, of course, Tonia Couch. She's back again for today. And look, we can talk about Kyle and Lois all day. It was brilliant, a gold medal for them. And like we say, their confidence is going to go sky high because there's such a new partnership.
That's it. What a great start. How awesome. And hopefully the rest of the team can go off that gold medal and feel pumped and ready for the rest of the competitions.
And let's talk about the rest of the competition today. The reason why you're here, 3-metre springboard mixed. This is going to be good because we're dealing with Grace and James. Now, for Grace, she dives with Tom.
Yes.
OK, and here she is now with James. And it's going to be a bit of a different energy and a different dynamic, isn't it? And how difficult will that be for someone like Grace to adjust to?
Yeah, it will be difficult because, you know, James is very, very strong. This is his main board, 3-metre. But Grace is really strong too, so I think it does work really, really well. And they were both from Scotland. They're great friendship, they've got a great friendship, and it does make a huge difference. So they're going to bounce off each other, and they're able to communicate, which is the key thing here.
They would have been buoyed with the confidence from the guys yesterday, but the Ukrainians, again, I'm sure they're going to pose a strong threat maybe here, Tonia.
Of course, and the Germans, and the Italians. Yeah, we've got a few. But I think after last week with the Commonwealth Games, they're going to get some confidence from that.
OK, well, fantastic stuff. Well, we can head out to Rome there, to the pool. Germany, the European champions indeed. A stunning silver, though, for Grace and James. Tonia, you were watching 5 dives in total. We're going to go through some of the dives in a moment, but for Grace and James, this has got to be a really positive step. You know, a partnership that's not necessarily solidified, but here they are at this level doing so well.
That's it. I think they'll be really pleased with the silver. Personally, I think they were marked down a little bit on dive 3 and dive 4. They should have had a bit higher scores, but that, you know, I might be biased. But no, I think they'll be really, really pleased with that. And they've got so much more to give. And it's so exciting how well they're going to be doing.
Well, let's take a look at the 4th dive, because, you know, one of the first things you did say, oh, I'm not sure about that score. So let's take a look and see, and just talk us through this dive, Tonia.
Yeah, so basically, on this dive, I mean, look at the synchro. They twist the same time, their somersaults come out at the same time, and the judges only gave it, I think it was like a 7, 7.5, which personally I think they should have got in the 8s. But look at that. And the fact that it's in slow motion and they are still in sync says it all.
But the thing is, I remember you saying to me yesterday, in terms of the judges, they don't necessarily have the playback. They don't get to see it. It is down to the naked eye. And how much of that is frustrating for divers, especially if they know that they probably could have been marked a bit higher.
I know. Sometimes they just look at the entry. But yeah, it's a good thing that they don't see it in slow motion because we might be scoring 3s later on down the line. So we don't need that. But yeah, no, it's crazy how fast they've got to be on it.
And the 5th dive as well, it was a good dive, but not enough to be able to just snatch that gold medal.
Yes, James's hurdle step was a little bit on the edge of the board, so he did come off too much on the side, and that did cost him the gold medal. But he normally does front 4.5 somersaults, so the fact that he has to take a somersault away from this to match Grace is huge, and that means he's got to train pretty much double the amount of dives as everybody else. So he still nailed it, considering he had a bad takeoff.
And it's interesting that you talk about the dive that he has to adjust. You know, in my simple mind, it actually makes it sound like it should be an easier thing to do. But for him, I guess the muscle memory, the training, maybe brings on some challenges.
Of course. You know, you practice your 4.5 dive over and over and over again, different takeoff, different throw, and then have to bring it back. It's hard to control, and he controlled it on a bad hurdle, so that's amazing.
I mean, Grace, she's super experienced at this level. She knows what to be able to do here. She normally, of course, dives with Tom Daly. What are the challenges for someone like Tom? You said he's taking some time out, he's sitting at home, he's watching that. I'm sure cheering them on, but at the same time, you know, that's a partnership that I'm guessing he wants to protect, maybe.
Yeah, of course, but for Tom, his specialty is the platform, so I don't know what he's thinking, and it's not in the Olympics just yet, so I'm sure he'll be at home cheering these guys on.
Oh, he's absolutely fine then, he's just chilling at home. Tina Punzel, though, from Germany, she's one of the combination of that gold-winning pair. The medals, it says it all. She's won so many, she's so experienced, and we saw it with some of the dives here today. I think we can take a look at her 4th round dive, and the German's so clean, so efficient with it.
Yeah, I mean, she's so consistent, and I think that's exactly what you need as a diver. And it's her synchro partner, completely the same, pulled back down the dive from doing a 4.5 to a 3.5. And they were both a little bit over, but the whole way through this competition, they were so consistent, and their synchro was fantastic.
No, it is brilliant to watch, and you could hear the crowd. They really enjoyed that as well. And someone like Tina Punzel here, she comes into this competition, like we say, with the experience. This isn't necessarily in the Olympics, but again, what is the benefit? Why come to this champs and do an event like this and not focus on an Olympic event, maybe?
I think it's good fun. You know, it's nice to take a little bit of seriousness back and enjoy a competition with one of your friends. And I've never actually done mixed synchro with these guys before, but I've heard from the others that they just love it.
Yeah.
And I think that's so nice to have.
The 5th dive as well for the Germans. We sat here, we both kind of was like, yeah, round of applause, well done, guys. You just know straight away, as soon as they came up off the board, it was perfect.
That's it. They saved their best dive to last, and it proves today that they deserve that gold medal.
How challenging is that for you, though, Tonia, knowing that you're last up and there's a level of pressure? We saw it with Kyle yesterday, didn't we, Kyle Kothari? The slow motion, we saw him shaking a bit, and there's a lot on the line. Like, how is that for the guys that come up last?
It depends. Sometimes they don't look at where they are placed at the end, so they probably not look at the scoreboard. Some people do, some people don't. So if they do and they know that they had to do a certain dive to win, that's when it gets really, really nerve-wracking.
And of course, for them, the Germans, it's really good. We talk about this build-up towards the Olympic Games. We talk about the confidence of teams. Great for the Germans, but again, another medal on the board for GB. And again, we speak, Tonia, about the fact that this is a team whereby You said it yesterday. We don't often get to see diving as much as we have done over the last few weeks. They're going to love this moving forward.
Absolutely. That's all that people are seeing right now on TV is diving, diving, diving. I remember back in the day that diving wasn't even shown. When I first started, I think I was going into my seniors probably at the age 16, nobody even knew what diving was. So like now it's so big and it's so beautiful to watch. So I'm so pleased it's on TV.
And then we're getting to see personalities. We're getting to see some of the names as well, which is really cool as well because, you know, look, you can see people are having fun. And how important is it for you, actually, that diving at this level is really shown to people and for young people who maybe want to get into it as well?
Definitely, and especially for the young people. Yeah, I think everyone at home want to be basically what these guys are on TV, and it's anyone's game. These guys should come into their local sports place and try diving because not only is it amazing, it's great fun. You make the most amazing friends. You travel the world. Yeah, it's just fantastic.
Well, one person we did see during the Commonwealth Games as part of the England diving team was Andrea Spendolini-Siriex, and she was absolutely amazing because she's only 17 years old and she'll be up next in the diving pool on the platform. We can take a look at her.
England's Andrea Spendolini-Siriex.
17 years old and a Commonwealth champion.
That's the result you get from working hard.
What a dive to finish on. Yes! That is definitely a silver medal dive. Wow, what a dive. And it's gold for Andrea and Noah, without a doubt. Unbelievable. That is the dive of the competition.
She lives and breathes diving.
I feel like a king.
Andrea Spendolini-Siriex.
It's exhilarating, it's incredible, and it's crazy.
I mean, the absolute time of her life. I'm thinking that she's going to be expecting her A-level results pretty soon. But what a summer for her, Tonia. And again, she'll go in the platform final in a moment. And for her, this is a great summer. We speak about development. How much will she take away from this summer and learn about herself?
Oh, I mean, so much. And by the looks of it, she's having the time of her life. And she just needs to keep doing that. Don't let pressure get to her. Enjoy every moment because the older you get, the more pressure happens. It's crazy. So I just want her to stay in this bubble and keep doing what she's doing because she's doing fantastic.
Oh, brilliant stuff. We're going to talk about her a bit more in a moment and her chances in.
Really well in the relays so far. I'm delighted to say that joining me here in the studio is former European champion Tonia Couch to look ahead to the women's 10-metre platform final. And we have, Tonia, two British divers in this, Andrea Spendolini-Siriex and your old partner, Lois Tolson. How did they get on in qualifying?
Yeah, they did really, really well, nice and steady, and that's what we're looking for. We don't want them to use their best dives straight away. So we've got a first from Andrea and fourth for Lois.
We'll have a look at Andrea in action because she sort of sprung to the forefront, as it were, when she was very, very young. She was Young Sports Personality of the Year. She's had a terrific year so far and seems to be relishing the high-pressure big events.
Yeah, I mean, she handles the pressure really well, actually. It's a great year for her. On a hard dive, she still comes out and nails it, and it's tough doing it in an outdoor diving pool.
Yeah, conditions there look pretty good, thankfully, because were there a strong wind or rain, you'd be thinking, oh, this doesn't look much fun.
Oh, that changes everything with the wind, especially in a handstand. So it looks really good condition, thank goodness.
She was more than 9 marks ahead of all of the others in qualification, so we'll go in there as favoured, we'll dive last. She's used to that position now, and it's amazing how quickly she's learned because she went to the Tokyo Olympics last year as the youngest member of the British team, and already you can see the experience of consecutive big events makes her just that bit more confident.
It does. I think the more competitions you do, the more experience and feel better and more like chilled about yourself, and it does make a difference. Unfortunately, for the people that are injured and they haven't had a big competition run through the year, it does set them back a bit. So keep doing the competitions and she'll get more experience that way.
The difference with this competition is we've got no Russian divers because they're banned, no Chinese divers, obviously, because they're not European. So she's going in there as the marked person, if you like, and that's very different. She's so far been sort of the youngest one or the one that's not considered and has been able to spring surprises. This is going to be an interesting one this afternoon.
Yeah, I think she's probably not watching too much that goes on in the media because that's probably the best way to do it. I used to not focus what's going on behind me and just stay in your bubble, and I think that's exactly what she's going to do.
And maybe it's helpful to her that her father, Fred Sirieix, is a very well-known personality, used to dealing with, you know, cameras snapping at him or headlines being made about him. He's the host and maitre d' of First Dates, and people have seen him on the TV. So she's had that, you know, she understands what attention looks like.
I think that's going to help her in her sport, 100%. You know, she's had pressure on her for a young age because of her father. So, yeah, maybe it's going to work well for her. So thank goodness for that, really.
Let's have a chat about Lois Tolson, and who was as young as Andrea is now, if not a little younger, when you were teaming up with her. And she's qualified here, is it fourth or fifth?
Yes, fourth.
Fourth. What are you thinking about her chances of maybe getting a medal?
I think it's a nice spot to be in because if she puts a great dive down, the pressure's on for the rest of them. She came in young, just like Andrea, and obviously when you get older, the pressure is harder, and I think maybe she's feeling that little bit of pressure now, especially when a youngster comes up and takes your place. But she has so much talent, so much talent. Look how high and beautiful that dive is. She just needs to smash it on the day and then she'll be up there with the rest of the guys.
It seems that the synchro events have really helped both of them. They've had good experiences in mixed synchro events at the Commonwealth Games, for example. And the more you dive in competition, with all of that training that you put in, because obviously you train for how many hours a day, roughly?
5.
5 hours a day, every day of the week?
Apart from Sunday.
So 6 days of the week, 5
Yeah.
hours a day, training, training, training. That's a lot of impact on your body. Going into competitions, is that sometimes not easier, because obviously you're being judged, but is there less diving for you?
Yes, there's probably less gym work. You know, there's a lot of gymnastics, trampoline and weights, but when you get to a competition, you back off on that a little bit, so there's less training. So, yeah, I suppose it would be easier in that way.
Who should we see as the other major contenders in this final?
Ukraine. The young girl looks pretty good, but as long as Lois and Andrea puts the dives in, they'll put the pressure on her.
Sofia Liskin is her name. And the Ukrainians have a very strong diving team. I mean, it's a sport that they take very seriously. We saw a really emotional win in the pool yesterday for Romanchov in the 1,500 metres. He spoke afterwards